drinking in the morning sun, blinking in the morning sun, shaking off the heavy one.
Hey you guys, welcome back to the channel. Well, today's pretty cool because I get to make a video for a friend of mine who is celebrating a big milestone. Goodall, who I have mentioned so many times on this channel, I can't even recall how many times that would be, just hit 1,000 subscribers. And let me tell you, Ross, it's very well earned. And you have a great channel. You do a lot of really good music reviews, vinyl updates. You know, you talk about a lot of the same things I like, and you've introduced me, especially recently, to some music that I should have been familiar with from a long time ago, but really is new to me. So I appreciate all the work that you put into your channel, all the good music reviews, really solid content over at Goodall's channel. So I'll put a link, of course, into his channel into the description of this one for his contest video. If you haven't subscribed to Ross yet, which anybody who watches this channel probably would have by now, but really do yourself a favor and go over and subscribe to Ross. Congratulations on 1,000. I can't believe it's not 2,000 or 3,000, to be honest, because you truly deserve it. Maybe more than anybody, as far as I'm concerned, deserve more subscribers. So hopefully this contest will boost you up even quicker. So anyway, Ross in his contest has asked us to create a fantasy festival. You know, just a one-day, one-stage kind of thing. So it's not like Glastonbury or, you know, one of those multiple stage festivals. And there's not a lot of rules attached to it other than it is just what I said, one stage, one day, and the artist has to be alive. Well, at least the bulk of the band, if it's a band. So that complicated things a little bit for me, but I think I've come up with something kind of cool and something I truly would love to see, but will never happen. But it would be a fun concert, at least for me. Now, fun is a relative word, but for me, this type of music, this is more of a dark, gothic, dark wave, experimental, whatever you want to call it. You know, I'm not really great at labeling things. And some of these bands fit into that category extremely well, and others you might question, but he did limit it to somewhere between 5 and 8 different bands, and I managed to come up with 8. I probably could have picked 15 or 20, but I limited it to 8, and here we're almost 3 minutes into this, so I probably better get started. But I really hope that you like the theme, and maybe we'll check out some of these artists if you're unfamiliar, like a couple of the more obscure ones. So I'm going to start off with the only, I guess, modern day artist that could fit the bill, if you will, for a festival like this. And not saying there's not others, but this is one that I never have talked about on my channel as far as I know. And really hope that this artist continues to make music. He's got 2 albums out now. And the debut album in particular is one that really fits this style of music, and that is the artist Trust. Now, don't worry about the cover. You know, I personally love this cover because it really is fitting for the music, but this is not what the artist looked like. I believe Trust is just one person, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know the name. I believe he's Canadian. But this album, self-titled album Trust, it's spelled T-R-S-T, is incredibly dark. It's very fitting with a lot of the other music you're going to see on this fantasy festival, and I love every song on here. I just think it's a really throwback to this style of music, and it's incredibly difficult to listen to at times because some of the topics he sings about is very depressing, and that's going to be kind of the theme of this video, I suppose, in a way, because when I said fun, you know, fun is relative. Now, this style of music, you might say, why are you calling it fun? I enjoy listening to this type of music. To me, it's not depressing. It's not something that you go into a Prozac coma on or anything like that. I actually like it and enjoy it. and find it uplifting. So everybody has a different take on things, but trust, this is a really, really cool album. So if you can stream it on Spotify, or if you can listen to it on YouTube or something like that, it's definitely worth checking out if you like some of the other things you see here today. So we'll start off my Fantasy Festival with that. Now, this next artist is somebody I'm really new to. I should have known them a long time ago, but for some reason, other than the name perhaps, never heard a single thing from this band. Now, very recently, Cherry Red Records has done a reissue campaign of their first five albums, and they're really, really well done. I will say they're incredibly expensive. They're in and around the $40 mark, but well, it was worth it, you know, because it took me about 2 months to get them all because of the price tag, and Cherry Red is kind of notorious for really overpricing their records, but they are quality, well done, and you know, I'm just going to show them in order. This is the first album from Felt. That's the name of the band here. Sorry, someone's messaging me like crazy and it's interrupting me. Felt, this is the debut album. Title is Crumbling the Antiseptic Beauty. I heard this was the first one I bought kind of as a trial thing and fell in love with it. It's just absolutely fantastic. Now these are gatefold. I'm not going to take them out, but they're really thinly done, and the quality of the vinyl pressing though is spectacular. So I guess in a way I'd rather pay $40 for something this good than to pay $20 or $25 for something kind of crap like some of those Concrete Blonde reissues that I've mentioned several times that are just really poorly done. Second album here is called The Splendor of Fear, and they're all good, you know, so I'm just going to kind of show the record and let you guys go through and listen to them and experiment with what you want to hear. Third album is called, these messages, The Strange Idle Patterns and Other Short Stories, so that's a bit of a mouthful. This was their third LP here. And the fourth LP, this one's interesting to me because it was produced by Robin Guthrie of Cocteau Twins, and has a very familiar kind of 4AD look to it. I believe the artwork was done by Envelope 23, V23, the same people who did Cocteau Twins and all the 4AD album covers of the time. This album is called Ignite the Seven Canyons, probably my second favorite so far of their early albums, apart from their debut. And this one I just picked up just a few days ago, haven't listened to it yet, The 17th Century, and I don't know about this album too much. But those are the 5 Felt albums that have been reissued recently on Cherry Red Records, and very, very impressed, not only with just the quality, but the music, of course, is... I can't believe that band escaped me all those years, and now, you know, it's fun in a way to get back into a band that you overlooked and missed. I've got several other examples of that, and that's probably for another video. Next band up in my Fantasy Festival is Echo and the Bunnymen, and, you know, maybe don't fit quite into this gothic dark wave kind of sound, but Ian McCulloch's voice certainly does fit the bill, and some of their music can be quite dark and experimental and a bit brooding and things of that nature. So I just pulled out a few things. I pulled out Porcupine. You know, these are all well-known, well-loved albums, so can't spend a lot of time here. Heaven Up Here, this is a Mobile Fidelity Silver Series album here. I don't think it's hard to find. I think you can still get that. We've got one of their more loved albums here, Crocodiles. These are all represses here so far I'm showing you. And I have originals of Porcupine, and I have an original of Crocodiles as well. I have an original of Heaven Up Here, and this one, to my knowledge, has not been repressed, but I could be wrong. Self-titled Echo and the Bunnymen. This has Lips Like Sugar on it, so all great, great albums. So that would be the next artist up in my Fantasy Festival. Next up, as the fun continues here, it's going to get even darker with a band called Cindy Talk. Now, Cindy Talk is a band I don't think I've ever seen anybody talk about in the vinyl community, or, you know, my favorite music channels that I frequent a lot. I'm sure people like Derek Higgins and others know Cindy Talk and probably like them and probably have their records. This was new to me back in 2010. A friend of mine, Rob, introduced me to Cindy Talk. Fell in love with this album here, Camouflage Heart. and I tried a couple other things, but nothing lived up to this one. But if they did this whole album in its entirety, that would be enough for me. This is incredible, very dark, very experimental, way ahead of its time for 1984, and I'm so glad I added this to my collection, because this is a really, really quality album, and it is a challenging listen sometimes, but it's so good. From there, it gets a little bit of a mixed bag, but the second album here, In This World, is still very good, and certainly if they did highlights from that, I would be happy. I want to hear the whole album of Camouflage Heart, but this would be good to hear select songs. And then something much more recent, Hold Everything Dear, I think came out in 2010 or 2011. Still good, still dark, still the Cindy talk, but you know, I think the magic is kind of left for the most part, but I wouldn't mind hearing some select songs off this album too. So can't say it's fun, you know. So if you're looking for a fun festival and you want the Stones and the Beatles and, you know, stuff like that, this is not your festival. But from there, we're gonna get even crazier and even darker, I suppose. I don't know. Very favorite, probably the godfathers of goth and this style of music is Bauhaus. I pulled out a few things. I love Bauhaus. I've loved them for a very long time. Not new to me like Cindy Talk and Felt. I didn't know what to pull. I have so much, but I pulled out Go Away White, which was their last album, and by far their least best album. You know, this isn't terrific, but it is hard to find these days on vinyl. This is a white vinyl. Go Away White has an embossed cover, and you know, it's still good, but they, you know, I think they kind of threw this together. I don't think their heart was in it, but it's an interesting thing, and certainly a little bit harder to find these days. Really love to have this. I mean, I'm so happy to have this on vinyl. This is kind of the best of 1979 and 1983 2 LP set on Beggar's Banquet. Really lovely done with the gold embossment front and back. It's just stunning and sounds amazing, and I'm sure any Bauhaus fan would love to have this, and just if they played every song on this album, fans would go crazy. It's just fantastic. And then I pulled this because this is a live album, Gotham, and difficult to find on vinyl. This isn't a pristine copy, has a little bit of ring wear, but it plays great, and I'm just very fortunate to have it. This is very difficult to find on vinyl. It's on DVD, it's out on CD. Would be easy to hear it and see it, but to have it on vinyl is quite hard. So I pulled that out, you know, and if you're going to have a Bauhaus concert, I think it'd be great if they let Peter Murphy do some of his solo stuff, because he's been a prolific, great solo artist much longer than Bauhaus was ever around. And I personally like his solo stuff almost, if not sometimes as much or more than Bauhaus. And I just pulled out a few things that I thought might be interesting. This is an alternative. This is a Canadian pressing of his debut album, Should the World Fail to Fall Apart. And I had never seen this cover, and it's so much better than the original cover that, you know, is much more known. And, you know, I think he probably could have done better with the album had this been the cover. And, you know, it's a good album in its own right, but I fell in love with this cover, so I had to get it. And maybe it's more common than I think, but I had never seen it. And then a couple, I guess you could call rarities on vinyl. We've got Holy Smoke, which is my personal favorite Peter Murphy solo album. I just love this album. Absolutely perfect album, really. Fantastic. And then one that's very, very elusive and difficult to find, desperately needs to be repressed, is Cascade. And I'm sure many, many people would love to have a copy of this on vinyl. And I'm very lucky to have that. So, you know, if you're going to have Bauhaus, I hope that he would at least do a selection of songs from his solo career, because there's so much. Okay, now I'm going to throw you a curveball, and this is completely be like, okay, your festival sucks, because this would never happen. The Cure would never do a festival without being the closing act, but in my world, in my fantasy festival, the Cure are not going to close my festival. And it's going to be a combination of the Cure and Susie and the Banshees. So why not? It's my festival. It's my fantasy festival. I can do whatever I want. So I just pulled out 3 live albums from the Cure. I pulled out Entreat, which is a Record Store Day reissue from a few years back. And, you know, when I pulled this out, what was interesting to me, not that it's not a great album, but it was $24.99, and I'm thinking, this was about 2012 maybe? It's like, I think record store day prices have really gone up, because this is a 2 LP set, and you know, it's really fantastic. This was you know, you get the whole album of Disintegration on here, and to think, you know, I think if this was a record store day 2018, this would be like $40. So prices for vinyl have really skyrocketed in the past, I'd say 5 or 6 years. And while you know that subconsciously, until you see it like this, it's like, wow, they really have gone up. So anyway, Entreat, a great live album from The Cure. We've got Paris. This is a double album, very elusive, very difficult to find. And maybe a future record store day idea. And we've also got Show, which is another great album from The Cure live, which would be a great combination. They usually do a couple things on record store day. So if they did Paris and Show reissues on record store day, I think that'd be fantastic. Fans would be so happy. And most likely I'd buy them again. Susie and the Banshees, it's shocking to me how little I have, how very, very little I have on vinyl. I only have 2 things. I have Peep Show, and, you know, mental note, I've got to get more Susie and the Banshee vinyl, but it's not easy to find in America. You know, they never really had much success in America. I just see right now that this was a promo copy, which is kind of cool. And then I have Hyena. This is the only 2 Susie and the Banshee records I own, so I'm going to try to fix that. And the reason I wanted them to do kind of a joint set together is so they could do selection from this album, The Glove, which is kind of Susie and the Banshees plus Robert Smith in their one-time collaboration, you know, for a very short time. Apparently Robert Smith was thinking of joining Susie and the Banshees, and this was a collaborative effort between the 2, and it's really quite good. This is a import English copy original, and this was also subsequently re-released on Record Store Day on blue vinyl 3 years ago or so. It sounds like crap. So if you see this in original, get it, the original record, and that would be fun. I don't know if it's ever been done where they sing songs from that album and kind of do something together. So yeah, The Cure is not going to close my festival, and you think, where can you go from there? But to me, I have to stick to what I love best, and that is, you know, 2 artists that I hold near and dear to my heart. And it's got to be Dead Can Dance. This is a live album just simply called In Concert from their last, well, I won't say last because there's some talk of a new album coming out later this year, but their most recent concert tour from 2014 or 15. And fantastic. I saw that concert live in Austin, Texas for the Anastasis tour. And this I've kept sealed because it's really hard to find and very, very rare. I bought it, you know, from their website when it was available for everyday prices. But I'm glad I kept it sealed. And I have the CD and I play it a lot and I love it. But, you know, for this record, I think I'm just going to keep it sealed for now. And yeah, I just pulled out one thing. You've seen my Dead Can Dance collection many, many times. And if you haven't, you can go back to my channel and look for it. And then who's going to close my festival? Well, surprise, surprise. No surprise, really. Cocteau Twins have to close my festival. And I just pulled out 2 albums. These are original presses of 4 Calendar Cafe and Milk and Kisses, which are phenomenal records. And until they were re-released on Record Store Day in 2017, only in the UK, these commanded a very high price tag. And they still do, but I think it's gone down just slightly. And I do have the original, or I have the represses, thanks to Ross Goodall, who helped me out and got me copies and sent them to me from Scotland, where he lives. So, but you can't beat an original. So anyway, that is my fantasy festival. We've got Felt, Echo and the Bunnymen, Cindy Talk, Bauhaus, with a little bit of Peter Murphy solo stuff thrown in there. We've got The Cure with Susie and the Banshees and doing select songs from the Glove album. We've got Dead Can Dance. We've got Cocteau Twins. So who wouldn't want to see that, right? I mean, I know I would. And you're thinking, well, this is so not Ross, right? Well, you know, I've tried really hard. Ross likes Echo and the Bunnymen, no doubt. I tried to get him into Felt. That was unsuccessful. Bauhaus, you know, I think is just too dark for Ross. Cocteau Twins, I think I've tried, and it's just to no avail. Dead Can Dance, probably a little bit of an acquired taste. The Cure, I think you're a semi-fan, Ross, of The Cure. I think you're kind of getting there a little bit with some of their stuff. Susie and the Banshees, I have no idea if you like them or not, but I think if you like The Cure, you probably would. You know, so hey, would you come with me? I think you still would come with me, right? You'd go to this festival. It would be a grand, fun time. So anyway, again, congratulations, Ross, on 1,000 subscribers. I hope you hit 2,000, 3,000, and many more after that. Certainly well-deserved. And one of my go-to channels, really, for all my style of music and much, much more. So go check out his channel, and I hope you liked my fantasy festival, and I hope you will do one yourself. So anyway, that's it for now. I hope everyone has a fantastic Memorial Day weekend whenever you're watching this, or afterward. I hope it was fun. And until next time, take care of yourselves, and bye for now.